I'm Roy Lee Lindsay with the North Carolina Pork Council, and I want everyone to remember, bacon makes everything better.
Welcome back to the ACC Tipoff event in Charlotte, North Carolina. We welcome R.J. Davis to the David Glenn Show here on the North Carolina Sports Network. I can't believe I haven't asked you this question until you're a senior, but when your last name is the same as the head coach's last name, do you get any of that, well, he treats you differently like he's your son type stuff?
No, not really, but I do get a lot of like, oh, is he like your uncle or something? But it's kind of cool just to have, my last name and his last name be the same. So.
Your journey here has been amazing in some ways and a roller coaster in other ways, right? How do you put into words experiencing both the stunning run to the national championship game 2 years ago and yet a massive disappointment going from preseason number one to missing the tournament entirely the second year?
Well, I think my path was destined the way it was and set up the way it was just because I think that's my journey and, I think that's what God has set for me, but just in terms of, going to a national championship run, probably like the greatest feeling I ever felt, like basketball period, and just in terms of the following year, last year, not having the year that we wanted to, I just feel like that's something that, was needed, It was just like a little bit of a humbling experience and to kind of take a step back a little bit and reflect and then come back stronger next year.
I don't know how your AAU or high school ball worked, but a lot of times you get to grow up with guys your own age. They're your teammates. Mm-hmm. This is a different animal, right? This is a sport with 13 scholarship players, and you said goodbye to 7 outgoing transfers and then 2 guys who went on to professional basketball. Can you build closeness and togetherness and chemistry in a really compressed period of time?
Yeah, I think that's what's been so great. It's definitely hard to say goodbye to the guys that you came into college with, because those are relationships and, a brotherhood that's going to go beyond basketball and beyond our time at UNC. But I think what made our chemistry so good so far was what the new guys have made it easier for us, especially, the returning players. They came in with open arms and a personality that's, fit the locker room. It's a vibe that's different, but it's a good different. And that's something that I've definitely been impressed by, and it's definitely something that's been going well for us.
I know you guys are looking forward, but one more question about the past. Caleb Love was quoted as saying he was hurt by the way his exit interview went with Coach Davis. You're roughly the same age. You guys spent a lot of time together, ups and downs. How do you describe to those who are not in your locker room what went right, what went wrong, and why it just felt like it needed to be him getting a fresh start somewhere and you guys moving on without him?
Well, I think, like you said, at the end of the day, we're all kids and we're all, trying to figure our lives out and trying to figure things out. And I think sometimes it can be a mental toll. And I think, change is sometimes needed, for both sides. And I know Caleb, that's like my brother to me and forever will be. We were college roommates before, COVID started to spike up. Me and him and Dayron, so and we went to the national championship together. So that's something that's going to go beyond UNC and stuff like that. But I think change is sometimes needed, and I know for us and for the players that have left, they're going to be great wherever they are, just because of who they are as a human being and who they are as an athlete. Earlier
today, you mentioned competitive edge. You mentioned grit as things that maybe you didn't have enough of as a team a year ago. What newcomers have shown those things, and where does that show up? Are you talking about grit in games? Are you talking about grit in practice, grit when the coaches aren't around? How do you build that in the right direction?
I think it's a mix of the all. In games, in practice, coaches not around, open gym. But I think it's because they're all coming with a chip on the shoulder. They're all coming with the mindset and mentality of they want to win and they're doing whatever it takes to win. And I think that's what's special and what's needed. I think they're all ready to fulfill their role, and I think this would be something great for us because sometimes that competitiveness is needed and it pushes one each other to go to that limit and go above that. So I'm here for it.
As we let you go, R.J. Davis of UNC here on the David Glenn Show. I'm just curious, like man to man. I'm about 6 feet tall. I feel like I'm looking you eyeball to eyeball. Yeah. I don't have nearly the skill that you have, but in my normal life, I feel like a normal sized dude. Same. I even feel somewhat tall sometimes. And when I come to events like this, I feel tiny. This is your world all the time, man. So what's it like going into the paint? I guess if you're walking around campus, you feel like a big dude, but
yeah,
if
man,
you're
if I'm
driving in the paint, you feel small?
I mean, if I'm walking around campus, if I'm just like by myself or like a teammate my size, I feel fine. But if I'm walking around like Mondo, like Jay Witt, it's just like annoying, you know what I'm saying? But going into the paint, I think I have confidence going in. I know I'm going to make the layup or I know I'm going to make the tough finish. So I'm definitely able to finish amongst the trees.
That's a great phrase. Might be a broadcaster someday. You're a lot of fun to watch as a player, and I appreciate your time today on the David Glenn Show.
Appreciate for having me. Thank you.
You got it. R.J. Davis of the University of North Carolina, back for a possibly super senior season.
The original Saltworks has been serving the Wilmington area for over 50 years. Owner Bob Hubbard and his staff create a welcome atmosphere to go along with their home-cooked breakfast and lunch that simply cannot be rivaled anywhere in North Carolina. Eggs, waffles, hot dogs, crab cakes, and the best grits in the state. The original Saltworks, a proud partner of the North Carolina Sports Network.
Back here at the ACC Tipoff event in Charlotte, one of the biggest personalities in the Atlantic Coast Conference is joining us now on the David Glenn Show here on the North Carolina Sports Network. DJ Burns Jr. of the NC State Wolfpack. He was the Big South Player of the Year 2 years ago at Winthrop and obviously had a huge immediate impact on the Wolfpack as the Pack went to the NCAA tournament a year ago. DJ, welcome to the David Glenn Show. How are you?
Doing well. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
It's great to have you. We're excited to chat with you. You look great.
Thank you.
So I know you might not want to put a number on it, but give us an idea of like when you were your biggest, what might that number have been like? And what did you do to be this more slim version of yourself?
Yes, sir. That number was definitely closer to 300 than I would have liked it to be. But just cutting out things like minimizing all bread intake. I haven't drunk a soda since my season ended last year after that tournament.
Wow.
And just doing everything that I can to make sure that I'm working out. I've been in the gym so much more than any year I've ever played basketball. And just making sure that it's more focused on things that we need to be successful.
I have covered this league, believe it or not, for 37 years. And you have this infectious personality that we don't see all that often. Does it come from mom, dad, family? Were you that way at like 6 and 8 and 10, or did you kind of come out of your shell a little bit as an older guy?
I would say I'm a spitting image of my mother. She is the most outgoing person I know and one of the brightest personalities, and I naturally just picked up on that living with her every day. You're going to pick up a personality. My sister's the same way.
Kevin Keats says that you might be the mayor of Raleigh, North Carolina by the time this is all done. Share just how obviously there's a basketball element to your time in Raleigh, but it feels like there's just this human element where a whole community has embraced you as a person, even as they love watching you as a basketball player.
Right. I mean, I think that when people can see that you're being yourself and it's not something that's forced for a camera or for an image, I think that it's easier to gravitate towards. And I just try to be myself. I don't go into it thinking I'm going to be this tough guy or I'm going to try to be this cool kid. I just go into it like I'm going to show my personality, and whatever happens, happens, and it's worked out for me so far.
I've seen you talk to those little kids before a game or after a game or whatever, and you seem to be like a guy that even non-Wolfpack fans might root for. When you visit opposing courts, are they mostly nice to you, or do they give you the same hard time that they give everybody else?
From my experience, most of the fans, they always come up to me and they're like, you know, we hate your school, but we love you. And before the game, I guess that's their way of like nicely distracting me. They're like asked to take pictures and all kinds of crazy stuff. And I'm like, you would think that we were playing at PNC the way they treat me there. So it's been all love.
Basketball skill, big personality, and I've read back in the day, I don't know now, but musical skill, right? Tuba, piano, saxophone, and the stand-up bass?
Yes, sir.
Is that still a part of your world, or is that mostly high school stuff?
I can still pull out some piano and some saxophone, but I never actually bought like my own bass. I had the one from the school. So once I got to once I finished high school, that was pretty much over with. But as far as everything else, I can still play a little bit. Yes, sir.
7 incoming transfers. Do you have a sense yet who looks most ready to help the Wolfpack the way you were ready right away a year ago?
Really, all of them. I really like Ben and Mo, the two new bigs, and Jaden Taylor. Those guys, they're gonna come in and they're gonna give that consistent effort every time. They're gonna work hard, and they made me better. And I feel like that's a dynamic that we really needed. Someone that can come in and push everyone. Everyone is able to push each other now, and I want to say Cam Woods. That's who I'm most excited to see this year, but we're still pending.
Waiting for the NCAA waiver. He's talking about North Carolina A&T transfer. Cam Woods, who's waiting for an immediate eligibility transfer. We're not sure about that one yet. And when he says Ben and Mo, you got to help me make sure I get these right. That's Ben Middlebrooks,
yes,
formerly of Clemson, and is it Mo Diarra? Is that how to pronounce it?
For sure.
Phenomenal junior college guy a couple years ago who came from SEC country. So crazy part of your bio. Maybe you've gotten this question today, maybe not. When I first saw you in like 2018, the top players in the state of South Carolina were, get this, Zion Williamson, Ja Morant, and DJ Burns Jr.
Yes, sir.
Did you play with those guys, travel against those guys? Did you get to know them? Are they friends of yours? Obviously, they're both, in the big bucks world of the NBA right now.
Yeah, I wasn't around Ja too much, but Zion, I played him twice, and we played similar circuits, so I was always around them, but I wouldn't say we know each other personally, but we know of each other.
You got to experience the NCAA tournament last year. I mean, it seems like every young basketball player's dream. I know it didn't end the way you wanted, but how do you describe just kind of that cherry on the top of a really good season last year?
It was phenomenal. Everything I wanted and could have asked for. I've been a few times, but the first time I wasn't a player, I was a red shirt. The second time, the second 2 times, it was impacted by COVID, so we missed 1 year, and then we didn't. Everything was too restricted this year, the second year. So this year, it was definitely everything I could have asked for. You got to experience it with the full scope of things. It was amazing.
As a dad myself, I have a feeling that both your mom and your dad raised you to be this very respectful guy. Like, I'd be proud if I was your dad, just how you interact with people. I wonder, can you be nice to referees in a way that gets you the occasional call? Because Coach Keith says DJ doesn't get the calls down low, DJ doesn't get the calls on the perimeter. Yeah. Now, you're also working on not reaching and stuff like that, so it all goes together. But just you seem like you smile at the refs, too, most of the time, unless it's a bad call.
Yes, sir. I'm a pretty easy guy to get along with. Sometimes I do get frustrated, but I try not to take that out on them. They have a lot going on. They have a lot to be looking for all at the same time. And there wouldn't be 3 of them if it was an easy job to just take care of. So I definitely understand, but it can be frustrating a little. But they do their best, and we definitely have the ultimate respect for them.
NC State big fella, DJ Burns Jr. is joining us on the David Glenn Show. How do you outline your goals for the season? I mean, everybody wants to win like an ACC title or national title, get back to the NCAA tournament. How do you sort of just frame that?
I align my goals with my work. Everything that I do is goal oriented, what I want to get out of it, and what positions I can put ourselves in to help our team win, and that's how we line it up. Everything that we do is leading up to being able to win every single game that we're in, and not just saying we want an ACC championship. We want to win every single day.
I admire your story. I appreciate you stopping by here at the David Glenn Show. Go ahead and give one more Wolfpack signal,
yes, sir.
And we'll send it into his senior season. Thanks, DJ.
You know it.
Sport Clips is like no other place you've ever gotten your haircut. Sports everywhere, TVs everywhere, playing sports, and guys, smart stylists who know how to give you the haircut you want and the haircut you need. You don't ever need an appointment. Walk-ins are welcome, and you'll walk out feeling like an MVP, guaranteed. Be sure to ask about the MVP experience, as it's something you just can't put into words. Awesome haircut, hot steam towel, invigorating shampoo, neck and shoulder treatment. It takes a haircut and turns it into an event. Sport Clips, a proud partner of the North Carolina Sports Network.
All right, our next guest is a veteran at Wake Forest University. He started all 33 games for the Demon Deacons a year ago. And I'm geeking out because even though I've been at this for 37 years, I have never met a coach, player, staff member from Westchester, Pennsylvania until Andrew Carr. Welcome to the David Glenn Show.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And even better, Andrew was a superstar at Westchester East High School. This might not be interesting to anybody besides me, but my family and I lived within walking distance of Westchester East High School. Andrew transferred to Wake from the University of Delaware, where my only brother attended. I went to Salesianum High School in
right there in
Wilmington, Delaware. And you and I probably have a whole lot in common. So let me just start with the normal. Welcome to the David Glenn Show. How are you?
Awesome. Thank you. I'm doing great today. It's an awesome experience here.
Excellent. I'm glad we got to meet and cross paths. Let's just start with something basic. I came to the South 37 years ago, and I never moved back home. All my relatives are still up there. Are you like me in that you like more about the South, or do you still like more things about the northern United States?
I think for me it's more about the East Coast. So I'm all right either north or south. Even though I love the South, you know, the one thing I would say, a lot of the stores close really early down here.
Okay.
And that's the only name that I have possibly about the South so far. But I would say I think it's more of an East Coast thing for me. I love myself some of the East Coast. I think I want to stay there.
Did you have to shovel snow like in driveways as a kid? Because that's one thing I don't miss about the North.
Yes, definitely had to do that. You know, every winter. Not only my own driveway, but I have 3 siblings as well. So we were always set out to the whole neighborhood to try and, you know, shovel some other driveways as well.
For those who don't know, Westchester, PA, which we have in common, is very close to the city of Philadelphia. One of the things I love about being down here, Andrew, is that it's a great mix of people who love college sports but also love pro sports. When I was growing up, it was all Philadelphia Phillies in baseball, right. Philadelphia Eagles in the NFL, right. Even the Flyers in hockey. Did you grow up, obviously an athlete, but were you also kind of a spectator rooting for those teams?
Yes, 100%. I still am. I think that kind of, you know, rubbed off on me. I think Philly, major sports and professional sports is, you know, credit to my dad probably, but a season ticket holder of the Eagles.
Okay.
So I've been able to go to a bunch of Eagles games and just with my buddies going to other Philadelphia sports games. But it, like you said, it has been definitely the professional sports more than the college sports.
It's kind of bred into you up there.
It is, yeah.
Is your pecking order, where does it go after Eagles? Are you still rooting for any of those other teams?
For other Philadelphia,
Philly,
yeah. So it definitely goes the Eagles, and then I'd say the Sixers, and then the Phillies, and then the Flyers.
So your heart might not have broken as badly as mine did in Game 7 of the NLCS?
Yeah, it definitely was broken a little bit, that's for sure, but probably not as much as yours.
Well, I hope you and your dad get to experience these things the way my son and I were able to travel to Minneapolis, Minnesota when the Eagles beat the Patriots to win the Super Bowl.
Right.
Where were you for that? Or you might have been busy with basketball.
We had superstitions, man. I was in high school at the time. You know, every high school kid's dream is your favorite team, you know, winning the Super Bowl. So pretty cool. We had superstitions, had to go to the same house, sit in the same spots, wear the same things. So then when the Eagles won, something that was pretty cool that I was able to, you know, experience with my dad. We were able to go to the unveiling, actually, that first game against the Falcons the next year after they won the Super Bowl. So me and my dad were able to go to that, and just an awesome game, awesome experience. Kind of won the game that next year the same way they beat the Falcons in the playoffs the year before. Julio missed a toss-up at the end of the game. So it's pretty awesome experience.
Wake Forest star Andrew Carr is joining us on the David Glenn Show. We see you guys travel in style, eat in style. You're kind of superheroes on campus. Are there any downsides to being a major, high-profile college athlete? And what would you add to the upside list? It's probably a long one.
Right. You know, I think, you know, if you talk to some other people, especially the height as well, you interact with people whether you like it or not throughout when you're out in public. And I think for me, being strong in my faith, being able to try and spread as much light as I possibly can, to be able to have those interactions with strangers that not a lot of people get to. I think for me, I look at it as a blessing and as an opportunity to be able to kind of better perspective on it, you know, just kind of try and look at it in a positive light and just that you are able to interact and meet people that most people normally wouldn't be able to. So.
A very good friend of ours here at the David Glenn Show is another DG, Dave Gorin,
Yep.
who you happen to have as a professor
Correct.
in a sports media-oriented class. What have you learned in there? And do you have any interest in terms of beyond basketball getting into sports media?
Yeah, you know, he's been a great professor. It's got my Monday nights all booked up. You know, as student athlete, you got to find time to find your classes, and luckily it worked out with him. Got to put together a sports package here for in a couple of weeks. Got to find a story and try to get my sound bites and everything that I need. But I've learned a lot from it. I think for me, I definitely want to stay in sports, and I think I'd probably rather be on the coaching side of it,
Okay.
not necessarily the media side, but definitely. When I was a kid, I went to a bunch of sports broadcasting camps and things like that. It was definitely something I was interested in for a while.
I think you could be good at it, so we'll file it after playing and
go.
after coaching, maybe as a third option.
Perfect.
All of us who watched Wake Forest basketball last year not only enjoyed you and a couple of other guys who are here in Charlotte, but Tyree Appleby.
For sure.
Of course, no more Tyree. I know he's playing pro ball now. What do you tell the fans or the media who are wondering what is next at the point guard position, because somebody's got to get you the ball?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think this year we got a couple new transfers in. Obviously, Boopy Miller. He is coming over from Central Michigan, and then we got Hunter Salas coming in from Gonzaga. I think and Cameron Hildreth will help out a little bit at the point too. But those two guys will probably be our main look at the point guard position. And I think they've done a really good job of coming in and trying to take the reins of the team, be able to make sure everybody's organized. That's a big part of what being a floor general out there. That's a big part of what the point guard is going to be out there to do. So.
We're talking to your coach today, and he did go through a personal crisis, obviously,
Right.
with the stroke of his wife. How have you and the guys just handled that, processed that, or maybe tried to support your coach at a tricky time?
Yeah, I think is a unique, obviously different type of situation for all of us. It's like an opposite situation. He's usually the one always supporting us and everything that we're doing. So for us to be able to try and be in a position to support him and give back is definitely something that was really important to us. And it was right about the time when the stroke happened that we all went back home. So we knew that it was going to be even more important that when we got back to campus, that we were that family that he was looking for, that support. And even when he wasn't able to be around all of the guys, it was an opportunity for all the older guys to step up in leadership and make sure we didn't miss a beat when he wasn't able to be there. So.
Andrew Carr of Wake Forest, but also Andrew Carr of Westchester, Pennsylvania, Westchester East High School, and the University of Delaware previously. It's really been an honor for me, man. Thank you for
awesome.
Representing Westchester, and thank you for the time on the David
Thank you,
Glenn
man.
Show.
I appreciate it.
I'll be
Go
rooting-
Dub C, man.
I'll be
Dub
rooting
C.
for you and following you as well.
Thank you.
You got it.
The oldest restaurant in New Hanover County has a brand new look, feel, and taste, making it the #1 place for great food in Wrightsville Beach. Owner Jimmy Galeese and his wife Keaton have poured their hearts and soul into the reformation of this North Carolina coastal classic restaurant, and the impact has been fantastic. King Neptune serves fresh fish, chicken, and steak, and has an amazing wine and spirits to lift your dining experience to make it the best at the beach. Come taste the creations of Chef Chavez, and you'll know that you have tasted a little bit of heaven right there in Wrightsville Beach. That's King Neptune. Call them at 910-239-3055 and make your reservation now. King Neptune in Wrightsville Beach, a proud partner of the North Carolina Sports Network.
Welcome back to the David Glenn Show. Welcome back to the ACC Tip-Off event in Charlotte. Our next guest is only a sophomore, but he was last year's Kyle Macy National Freshman of the Year. He was the ACC Freshman of the Year. He was the ACC Tournament MVP. He was all ACC. And, of course, he was an ACC champion. Kyle Filipowski, welcome to the David Glenn Show. How are you?
Thank you. I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm about 6 feet tall and 185 pounds. And I was in Italy this summer.
Okay.
The showers were too small for me.
Yep.
The doorways were too small for me. Again, 6 feet tall. You're 7 feet-ish and much bigger than I in other ways. Is it more fun or more often a PITA to be your size?
I'd probably say it's more often a PITA. I think in certain situations, like large crowds and stuff, it definitely comes in hand with seeing over the crowds and stuff. But that's probably one of the reasons why I never really travel abroad, is because those countries don't have many things that I can work with well.
If I were your buddy at Duke and we wanted to meet up and it was chaotic, you could just say, DG, look for me, and help.
Yep.
I like that. You're looking at the plus side. I like
Exactly.
that. How about airplanes, beds, showers, stuff like that? Like the shower head hit my head in Italy at 6 feet.
No, I'm basically in a defensive stance when I'm showering. It's that difficult, and don't even get me started with the airplanes.
Last year, 15 points per game, 9 rebounds per game. You lead your team in both of those areas. A lot of folks saw you as an NBA first rounder. Simple question, why come back to Duke rather than realizing that NBA dream 1 year earlier?
I don't want to ever get ahead of myself and look too far in the future where, it messes up what I want to do right now. And I think I just want to do what made me happiest, and that was to stay here for another year. And, doing that, I know I still have a lot more to accomplish here at Duke while I'm still here. Even though I may have these predictions of what I can do in the NBA, I know not to get too ahead of myself.
Guys older than I am, I'm not a senior citizen yet, but you hear the phrase hip surgery all the time with senior citizens. Even our buddy Mike Krzyzewski, right, could tell you about hip surgeries. You're a young man, not even 20 years old yet, right? Mm-hmm. Remind us why you needed hip surgery, who all advised you to go forward to that, and then how close to 100% you are right now, which is roughly 6 months after your surgery?
Yeah. Well, I'm only getting better by the day, and I'm already feeling, right now I would say I'm feeling 100%, but I'm feeling better what I felt like last year before the surgery. So that's why I would say 100%. But at the same time, maybe I don't even know what 100% is yet because I haven't gone there. But all I know is that it's better than when I was before. So it's a great feeling. And I talked over it with my agent and my coaches, trying to figure out what was best for me, just because I had a restriction in the range of motion for my hip, so I needed to get my bone shaped down to where the ball fit in the socket and it wasn't more of a football shape.
I've heard Duke has some talented, skilled medical people, so I
They
think
do.
you're probably in good hands there.
I am, yes.
Hey, you are from a family of basketball players, right? So aunts and uncles, and I know your brothers at Harvard, but Dad Dave, Mom Becky were also both fairly high-level basketball players. How have they helped your basketball journey over the years?
Yeah, they definitely helped me with taking me to AAU all those nights. Long road trips and stuff, but it's been good because being here, I've been able to kind of just thrive on my own in the college life and college situation. So I've been able to, really be independent and grow here on my own, which has been pretty cool.
I didn't know you at 12 or 15, et cetera, but I assume you were always somewhat tall for your age. Mm-hmm. There was a time years ago that if you were the biggest kid, it'd be get down low, catch the ball, traditional post player, et cetera. Has the world changed enough that even when you were 10, 12, 14, 16, assuming you were always big for your age, that some coach or maybe mom or dad said, no, my son's going to be allowed to play on the perimeter even though he's the biggest guy?
Yeah, I think what helped me the most was having a twin that was a little bigger than me. He was always a little bigger than me, so it was hard because he was kind of the one getting stuck underneath the hoop more than me. Growing up, I just naturally was getting comfortable around the perimeter, shooting threes and stuff. And, I've always had that part of my game for some reason, and just kept it with me.
Mom and Dad must have been either smart themselves or helped you guys with the academic side of this whole endeavor, because for those who don't know, twin brother Matthew is at Harvard. Do you guys discuss basketball more, or could his classes be harder than yours, or vice versa?
This is the first time we've really been away from each other, so we've been able to kind of have our own spotlights, which has been good for us. But I mean, no, we don't really talk much about classes or who's the smarter one. We have plenty of those discussions growing up.
When I introduced you, basically a lot of things that I would have on my checklist to achieve, you've already achieved. Now, obviously, you haven't achieved a national championship. Where is that among your list of goals? As a lot of people are assuming, of course, even if you haven't decided officially, that this is going to be your last year at Duke.
Yeah, national championship is number one, without a doubt. That, it's been a dream of mine since I was a little kid. That's probably my first dream since playing basketball is winning a national championship in college. And it wasn't to play in the NBA. Obviously, that's still a dream of mine, but first one that I can remember was the national championship. So just that, and obviously the individual accolades will come along too. Hopefully, with that, with ACC Player of the Year and National Player of the Year, things like that.
I'm old enough to have covered your coach back when he was a player at Duke. Remind me, is number 30 Shire, number 30 Filipowski coincidence, or is there a lot of meaning behind that?
No, there's definitely some meaning behind it. I wanted to wear a number that meant something to me, and I think just being Coach Shire's first commit for him being head coach, that was definitely something special, and it'll stick with me for the rest of my life, and I'm sure with him as well. And just want to have some significant meaning behind it.
Last thing for Kyle Filipowski, the greatest of all time. You kind of missed by 1 year, right? But he's still around. So what do you get to enjoy of Mike Krzyzewski, even though he's technically not your head coach?
I get to listen to his jokes when he's around. He's a pretty funny guy, and he just enjoys to kind of lay back and observe. And there are times when he definitely does give some advice, but he tries to make it joking as well, so it's not as serious.
Kyle Filipowski, thanks for letting us enjoy you one more year as an ACC basketball player, and thank you for the time on the David Glenn Show.
Absolutely, thank you for having me.
You got it. The 7-footer from Duke, Kyle Filipowski.
In sports, we talk a lot about impact players who make a positive difference. When it comes to our state's economy, the North Carolina pork industry is a true MVP. Each year, the pork industry plays an important role in supporting rural communities across our state. It contributes more than $10 billion a year to the North Carolina economy and supports more than 44,000 jobs. Learn more about their positive impact at ncpork.org. The North Carolina Pork Council, the foundational partner of the North Carolina Sports Network.
Back here at the ACC Tip-Off event in Charlotte, our next guest is from Sydney, Australia. He represents the Australian national team, and of course he also represents the Duke Blue Devils. He is their sophomore point guard, last year a member of the ACC's all-freshman team, and he recently received the honor of being named a team captain, one of the first sophomores in program history to get that captainship. Speaking of Tyrese Proctor, Tyrese, welcome to the David Glenn Show. As a young person in Australia, you tried cricket and basketball, of course, but also soccer and baseball. Be honest, were you good at all of them right away?
Cricket, I wasn't the best, I can't lie. Soccer and baseball, I was definitely tossing up between those three. But just fell in love with basketball and stuck with it.
Now I know your dad played college ball in the USA, pro ball in Australia, where I guess he met your mom.
Yes.
Was Dad's influence what pulled you toward basketball, or was it just growing to 6'5"?
I was definitely around when Dad was playing, and always at a stadium, always had a ball in my hand. He never really forced it on me. It was always just natural and just something that I grew up playing and loving and have continued to play it, and then the height came with it, so it added a bonus for sure.
So Mom is Australian,
Yep.
Dad American roots.
Yes,
Was she at one of his games, and that's how they met? And then how did they decide whether to put roots down in Australia or the USA?
Yeah. So they actually met at a party, and then they lost contact for a bit. He went back to America for a little bit, and then he ended up coming back out, and they got back in touch, and so sort of been with each other since. And what was the second part you asked?
I think you answered it. 2 years ago, you attended something called the NBA Global Academy. What is that, and what did you learn there?
Yeah, so the NBA Global Academy is a program that's under the NBA. NBA sponsored and all that. There's a couple different ones around the world. There's one in India, Latin America, China, Africa, and the global one is in Canberra in Australia, and it's pretty much, we select the best out of all the players from all the other academies and have a team. There's 5 Australians on the team, the rest are international kids, and we travel all around the world and play. And I mean, for me, it was really good just leveling up my game, playing against guys older than me and more physical and stuff like that. But also just the exposure piece, obviously being in Australia and not having the AAU and all that type of basketball with exposure. So just getting, playing around the world. I played in France, Hungary, was in America a lot, and just getting the exposure was really good for me.
I know the NBA is a global game, so that was on your radar probably as a young guy. Is college basketball also a big thing in Australia?
Yeah, I feel like it's developed over the years a lot more. There's many different routes that kids in Australia are taking now, whether it's professionally straight away, NBL, G League. Straight to the NBA is a choice as well, but I feel like college is becoming a lot more common, especially guys in the academy. A lot more guys are committing to schools, Division I schools that I've seen that I was in the academy with. So I feel like now it's really starting to take off with Australian basketball, and a lot more people are playing college basketball.
Duke's Tyrese Proctor is joining us here on the David Glenn Show. It's cool to represent Duke. You walk around with that on your chest. It's got to be cool to represent your country, right?
Yeah.
So you're asked to be on the senior national team. I know you were not only a part of, but one of the stars on the FIBA Asia Cup. So you're a gold medalist for your home country. You're happy to be an ACC champion as well, but everything's a little different. What's it like to just be that for your country?
Yeah, it was huge. That was really my first big Australian tournament, just because of COVID and all the stuff that happened with that. I wasn't able to travel, but it was a blessing. Went to Indonesia, was with a lot of the boomers that play on the boomers today, and had a training camp before and went over, won a gold medal. We were undefeated that tournament, and like you said, I was a key guy on that team and played a big role coming off the bench, and I knew my role and finished games the way I needed to, and I just had a good time overall. It was a really fun experience and something I'll never forget.
A funny part of your bio is that you were on the preseason list a year ago for the Jerry West Award, which goes to a shooting guard. Well, here you are, you're a guy with a 2-to-1 assist-turnover ratio. You're 6'5" or so, but don't you view yourself as a point guard now, both at Duke and at the next level?
Yeah, definitely. I think a big thing last year when Jeremy went down in that Purdue game, and I sort of had to take over the point guard position. I played point guard my whole life, and it just comes naturally. My dad was a point guard, and obviously Coach Shire was a point guard, so we always communicated on that, and I just feel like it's my natural position. It's what I'm best at.
How do you get to be an 87+% free throw shooter?
I think it's just reps. It's time, knowing how important free throws are. My dad would always emphasize how important they are, so that's something that I always remembered and took really big pride in. Free throws win games, and that's just how it is. So just making sure I'm an elite free throw shooter.
I mentioned earlier, Duke has only asked 4 sophomores in the history of the program to be a team captain. Now, Jeremy Roach, we would have guessed. The veteran Ryan Young, we might have guessed. What did that mean to you, that you get to wear that jersey but also have that captaincy?
No, it's an honor. I'm very honored to be named captain by my teammates and coaches. Whether I was titled captain or not, I was still going to have to be a leader on the team, being Duke's point guard and having to be that vocal leader on the court, running the team, being in the back of Shire's ear and, us communicating on court. So, I'm honored, but regardless of captain, non-captain, I was still going to be a leader on this team and help us this year.
You were very good last year, but you were much better at the end of the year compared to the beginning of the year. What did you and Coach Shire circle as your off-season focus for improvement?
Yeah, just getting a lot more reps up, shooting off the dribble, catch and shoot, just really drilling my jump shot. The mechanics are all good. It's just getting reps up now. Confidence was always there, so just keep getting a lot of reps up. Another big thing was just my ball handling, getting the speed up to date, and those are mainly 2 things.
You missed the greatest coach of all time by 1 year. Just tell us, is Mike Krzyzewski a part of your life, even though technically he's not your head coach?
Yeah, for sure. Coach K is always around the facilities, at practices. Might bump into him in the hallway, walk around campus, but he's given me some great advice, especially last year, just speaking to him here and there, and he's Coach K, so he's been through it. He's been through every level of basketball, so just picking his brain and just talking to him about what I can do better.
As we let you go, a couple of your old teammates, Derek Lively and Dariq Whitehead, I don't know if they send you messages about life in the NBA now that they're first-round draft picks. A lot of folks have you as a lottery pick next year. Do you view this as your last year at Duke with an eye on the NBA?
I mean, you know, NBA is my goal. It's always been my goal, whether it's my first freshman year, whether it was last year, this year, next year, whether I stay all 4 years. You know, I just want to win, and I want to be a winner, known for being a winner. And you know, I'm a big believer my time will come, and whether it is this year or next year, I'm just happy for you know, just see my growth as a player, and I just want to win games.
Tyrese Proctor of Duke, thank you for your time on the David Glenn Show.